someone told me, and I just want to, I want to, because my wife has a fascination with the show Below Deck.
Oh, 100%.
And I watch Below Deck and I don't get it. And my wife is very smart and she has excellent taste. But when she's watching Below Deck, I'm like, I don't understand. Not that much is happening.
I love that she loves Below Deck. That's a sign of a smart lady.
Yeah.
I do not watch a lot of reality TV. I don't like people getting embarrassed. And people get embarrassed on every reality show. So, but I don't like fake drama. But what I like about Below Deck, and I wonder if your wife feels the same, is when they clean the boat. They have to.
I'm sure that's it.
They have to turn over the boat. They have to get it clean. And every time it's like, are they going to make it? We don't like. So there's some weird thing where your brain. It's almost like watching a set be reset. You're watching it get reset. And I like clear delineations of power. Who is in charge? So there is a captain. Like whether or not you like the captain, that's your problem. But the chain of command is very clear.
Yes.
And there's the head, there's the head of the, I should know all these names having watched it, but
so many iterations of it now.
Exactly. And so people have to report to each other, and that kind of status stuff really makes me laugh.
But you're right.
It's the cleaning of the boat.
There is something about, there'll be like young, good-looking couples that hook up on the boat, and I find that isn't as exciting to me as I get into. The chef has to make a meal, and it's always these incredibly entitled rich people.
Incredible.
Do you know what I mean? And they're always there, and they're like, this is for my wife's anniversary. And then they'll say things like, maybe it's fake, but they'll say at 11 o'clock in the morning, we want tonight's theme to be, and then they announce some insane theme.
Yeah.
They're on a boat in the middle of the Aegean, sea, and they're suddenly scrambling around trying to find, okay, the theme is volcanoes. They're building little volcanoes. People are dressing up and then the chef has to make the food for everybody. It's always going wrong. And then it comes together. Yeah. And it's very satisfying.
And then what do you have to do at the end? You got to clean the boat. You got to turn it over. You got to get the sheets done. You got to spray the deck and the aft. You can't you got to clean it.
You might be onto something, and maybe, Adam, I'm just going to throw this out there, we should include a segment where we're like hosing this table down.
Oh my God, by the way, I would watch the shit out of that. If you ASMR'd this table and you put soap on it and then you washed it.
Wiped it down.
And then spilled marbles on it. Yeah. And then the sound of the marbles, and you had to pick the marbles up.
And Eduardo designed this, so he's freaking out that we're getting soapy water.
We're happy to clean this table every post session.
But we could make that a new thing on the show.
Yeah, and if these mics could be made out of kinetic sand, I would appreciate that too. Just so I could play around with that.
All these cool, tactile, that's incredible.
Because it's so good for podcasts.
People love it.
But I don't really watch any other. I don't like people being embarrassed or stressed on TV. It gets me very stressed.
I hate pranks. And I always, my whole life, if someone wanted to do a prank on someone, my mind would always go, what if someone gets hurt?
Yeah.
I don't know why. It could even be just the simplest prank. And I think, I don't know, someone could get hurt and end up paralyzed. Oh. And people would be like, what are you talking about? We're just giving them a birthday cake, but it's not their birthday. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Someone could end up paralyzed. I don't know why I always went to that.
Yeah, pranks feel very Gen X. Like we grew up with a lot of pranks, like Candid Camera, and then later on, Knoxville and
Ashton Kutcher,
and Jackass and Punk'd. And so we had a lot of pranks in our life, and maybe we just got pranked out. But I don't like pranks. And if someone did a prank to me, I would feel like they hate me.
Yes.
Like I would feel super sad.
Yeah.
If like I've never had a surprise birthday thrown for me. The one time I think it was going to happen, I found out, and I kind of put a kibosh on it. Because to me, a surprise party is an evil act of treachery.
Betrayal.
Yeah, betrayal. Yeah, it's a prank.
Anyway, you're launching this weekly video podcast, Good Hang, with Amy Poehler. It's going to come out this March. I will be listening to this podcast. I'd be thrilled to do it if you want me on.
Please, thank you for saying that.
No, seriously,
I
would love to do it.
Thanks, Conan.
I love hanging with you, and you're one of my favorite people of all time, and I know you're going to kill this. So, and thank you. It's it's a gift that all those years ago you came into my life and were so funny and elevated everything on our show. Not everything, but a lot of things. Why did I have to correct that?
No,
but any sketches you were in, and it was just a magical time, and I do feel nostalgic too.
I do too. I feel, and I have to say, like the beginnings of things are the most tender time, where everybody's the most tender.
Yeah.
And you were so kind to not only me, but UCB and everybody during that time. You gave a lot of us our start. So thank you very much. I'm glad I get to say that to you.
Like a little bit of a cut.
Yes. Oh. And you did make me sign something that I regret. I really regret.
You're like Simon Cowell.
Yeah, I am.
Conan owns half of my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I treated I treated them all like they were a boy band in South Korea. Mm-hmm. And they were like, well, this is awful. You know, it's interesting because you were talking to me about how you just always thought our show was there to stay and it was fine. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know because this interesting thing has happened with Parks and Recreation where it is now just one of those shows that's chapter and verse and comedy people know it. And not just comedy people, but it's like it plays a lot. People really know it. It's esteemed. And they don't know that it was a running gun battle to keep that thing on the air.
Big time. Yeah, every year we thought we were gone. For maybe the first 4 or 5 out of the 7 seasons we were on, because NBC was just, we were joking that our show was on the table, hooked up to machines, and then a new show would come wheeling in next to us, and they'd just be like, clear! And they would just be trying to save that show over and over again, and then they'd call time of death, and they'd put this sheet over the show, and they'd bring the show out.
And suddenly Susan didn't make it.
I mean,
Parks and Rec's still here.
Totally. We had about 5 upfronts where it was like, this is the next new big show. And we would watch it come in so hot with tons of marketing, and then it would die. And we would just be like, beep, beep, beep. And so we hung in there and long enough until finally, at like season 5, like your show, like critically, we were very loved, but we were always worried we were going to get canceled. And although we would all give anything to have those numbers now, whatever we had.
Yes.
It was like, we have a 3.8 or whatever. And I was like, this is a disaster,
Right.
Then streaming started to happen. And it all started to like dovetail at the same time.
I am almost every day I thank the streaming gods and the internet, because I never thought the stuff that we were making, I always thought we did this really weird thing tonight. It'll never be seen again because it's just tonight and maybe it'll be rerun once in the summer, but then that's it. It's gone. And I was at the SNL thing, and when you buy a Samsung television, there's a Conan O'Brien channel.
Yeah,
and
it won't go off my TV.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm trying to get it off.
Bill Murray came up to me, and he was like, yeah, Conan, there's this thing on my TV. It's just you, and it's you. And I went, uh-huh. And he went, and I can't get it off. I was like, well, I can't help you. And he went, yeah, some of it's really good, But it was just so weird that stuff that I thought would never be seen.
Yeah.
There's moments on the internet. And the good work gets picked out. It rises to the top. There's plenty of stuff we all did that we're like, okay. But that tends to not get passed around as much. Mm-hmm. And it creates this illusion that everything we did was super funny.
That's
which in my case was like, no, that's a complete illusion. You're just not seeing the other ones because they don't get clicks.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's sketch in a nutshell too. So much of it is just like, what's your batting average? Like you're going to get 1 out of 3 good sketches if you're lucky. Parks was like that, the trajectory of that. And getting back to your show for a second, what was so exciting about being there at the beginning, not only was one of our own, like Andy was an improviser that we knew who suddenly
from Chicago,
from Chicago, who could buy an apartment and we could go over to it.
Yeah,
we were like, what?
I remember he had parties. He had an apartment that was like on 19th or 20th Street downtown, and it was kind of a loft. And he, I wasn't having parties. I was just, but I would go to Andy's parties, and it was everyone from UCB's, you and Matt Walsh and Besser and Ian, and it's just like this whole salon of super funny people. Plus, sometimes you go to an Andy party and there'd be like a guy in a fez in the corner with an eye patch. It got there were like people with parrots on their shoulders.
Yes, it was just right. New York, like, early 90s, like David Rakoff and Amy Sedaris and, all these like people that were kind of coming through and just starting out as well in different ways. It felt very chic. And then also, truly, your show allowed me to pay my rent, get health insurance, tell my parents that I was going to be on TV. All the beginnings of that. It got me so many jobs. People saw, I think, my first movie, which was the world famous Deuce Bigelow. Very, very proud of my performance in that. But I remember, I think
killed it.
Killed it. But Rob Schneider, I think, saw me like on your show, and I think that stuff helped me when we were selling UCB, the sketch show. It was just such a huge deal. And I can remember, under 6, and remember that, like, if you had under 6 lines on Conan show, you got paid a certain amount of money. And then if you got over 6, you got paid like $100 more, because of SAG minimums and stuff. And it was a huge deal. We did a ton of staring contests. A ton of bits. I think my first thing was I was under me and John Benjamin were under giant foam rubber Conan and Andy outfits.
Yeah.
And we had to run around a track all day or something.
It makes no sense.
No sense. And I was like, I made it.
Really
I did it.
I was just at this SNL and I saw Tina, and she's with her husband, Jeff Richman. And I'm sorry, Jeff, but I immediately go to when we used Jeff Richman, who's, scores all this stuff. He's very brilliant. He's incredibly successful. We used him and he played Cupid. So he was in a diaper, hanging on a rope with a bow and arrow, and like some glitter in his hair and no shirt. And he's kind of just spinning at rehearsal awkwardly. And I didn't know who Jeff was. And then it's over and I think I'm doing something, and Tina had passed a monitor and she went, "That's my husband, you fucker." What have you done to him?
Yeah, I learned so much.
I don't care what he does. He'll get an Oscar for scoring something, and I'll still think, you were Cupid.
I learned so much on that show. I learned how to, get ready for a bit, how to not peak too early, how to figure out what the audience, just basically how to play the rhythm of the audience, like camera blocking, all that stuff I knew nothing about.
It's odd to think about it now, but you and Tina, you're this wave of women that came along, and I think it's easy for people to take it for granted now. But you and Rachel and a bunch of other women, yes, there were women before you, and I know you have your idols are like Gilda Radner, Lucille Ball, Catherine O'Hara, who I sat next to at the 50th anniversary, and I couldn't.
Cool.
I mean, I see her from time to time, and I love Catherine O'Hara, and sometimes she's very earnest. So when the show was about to start, and Paul Simon came up, and I get the microphone, and Sabrina Carpenter came up, and she's at her microphone, and they're both ready to go, and she went, "Oh, it's Paul Simon. This is going to be good." And I said, "Well, we'll see." And she looked at me and she was like, "What do you mean?" And I said, these things come and go. You never know with Paul. She's always great. Yeah. But she was like, "Fuck you, he's always great." And this is like I'm picking a fight with Catherine O'Hara before they're calling out 3, 2, 1.
My fun name drop of that weekend, which was really fun, was everyone, there were so many people that people just shared dressing rooms. And so I was sharing my dressing room with Meryl Streep.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, just like a fan, I took a picture of the door that said my name and Meryl Streep. And it was really cool. And she was, getting ready for her sketch and really rehearsing it. And I remember thinking, I never rehearsed as hard as Meryl Streep has. This one moment,
she's taking this very
don't overthink
seriously.
it. Don't overthink it.
It's vaudeville.
Be loud. That's what vaudeville. I wanted to say. Just be loud. Yes, and then in the seats, which was a night of all famous, alumni and people. Yep. I sat down and I turned to my left, and it was Jack Nicholson.
Yes.
And I was like, of course, my old friend, my dear friend, Jack Nicholson.
I think when those things happen, I just go with it.
Yeah.
I just say, of course, Jack Nicholson's here.
Of course. I mean, you have to fake it.
Of course, my comedy heroes are here.
Yes.
Letterman sat like 3 rows down from me, and I went over and said hi and was struck by his beard. I mean, literally,
it's incredible.
It hit me. He turned, and I was slapped
I feel like
by
that's
his beard.
what success is being able to perform at an event in front of your comedy heroes and, give like a B- performance and not want to die. That's success.
Yes.
It is, because it's happened so many times in my life now where I've had to do the AFI tribute or something in front of Steve Martin, and I walk away and go, well, that was a B-. And I go,
you might be being a little hard on yourself.
Nope, I could think of hard B-minuses.
Okay. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. I don't.
You did call me up.
I don't.
You can't call me up.
I called you up and I said
you gave me that grade.
I said B-. That was like a C+. So you met Tina at Improv Olympics in Chicago, 1993. What made you know that you two were going to be like sort of peanut butter and jelly?
Sharna Halpern, who was this woman running that theater at the time, said to both of us, oh, I know a woman that you would like. And she just put us on an improv team together. And I knew Tina was from Philly, and I knew she had written a really funny play about Catherine the Great and her intimate relationship with her horse. And I knew she was really smart and funny, but when we met, we just we don't actually, we were on the road doing a show, and we kind of talk about how we don't actually remember the exact moment we met.
Right.
Because we didn't know we'd be married for so long and so in love. But we just got put on an improv team, and we just instantly, and I think this is the case today, just worked together so well. Like we like to work the same way, which when you work with people, there's a language that you have and how you like to work, and you either kind of have it or you don't. And if you do have it, it's the best.
On Update, and anytime I've seen you two together, you always have A+ jokes. You have great jokes, great delivery. And some people think, what's the trick? It's like, yes, have good delivery is really important. And sometimes you need to have a savor, but have the stuff. And you two always have really good stuff.
Because I think I feel like I've given you credit for this. So tell me if you've said this.
Yes,
but
I did it.
You did. But we talk about this, and you saying this a lot, which is, as when you're doing comedy, you have to have good jokes all the time and new jokes all the time. And then you see musicians go up and sing their song, and you're like, man, if I could just go up and sing a hit over and over again. I had this
experience, which is, I was in, I want to say, Phoenix, Arizona, and I had to do something for an affiliate, so I'm there, and I go in, and of course, I don't have Phoenix, Arizona affiliate material in my back pocket. I have to bother my writers. I have to think myself what stuff I can say, what's going on, find out what the local references are, and construct the whole thing from scratch. And I get to, before we get started, I go down to the lobby, and I see Sting is there, and he's just got a guitar on his back in a leather case.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, hey, how's it going? He's like, oh, it's going all right. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing a benefit. And I said, I'm doing a benefit too. I'm doing something and I've been working. I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to play Roxanne.
Oh.
And I'm going to play every step. And he's not even thinking about it.
No.
He's not even thinking about it. And everyone's delighted.
Yes, that's what they want.
Yeah, no one's... I was at an event with you. I remember this really well. It was an event with you at the Museum of Natural History. And I don't know if I was performing or what, but then the music came out, and it was John Bon Jovi. And he did Cowboy on a Steel Horse.
Incredible.
You jumped up, you lost your mind, and you were screaming all of the lyrics, which was great. And then I look over, and John Bon Jovi's wife is doing it.
What?
Yeah, she's there too, and she's like, yeah, I love this. And I'm thinking,
well, that's just Stockholm syndrome.
That's a good marriage.
That is a good marriage. Their marriage has lasted all these years. Dorothea, I know everything about her.
Yeah, she's very cool.
Yes, Dorothea. Yes, well aware of Dorothea. Looked her up all the time. John Bon Jovi.
She's very cool. High school sweetheart.
So cool. Yes, high school sweetheart.
She might need to worry. Are you coming after her?
I mean, Dorothea has seen probably a lot more threatening people throwing themselves at John than me.
Yeah.
But their marriage is strong. I believe it is.
Yeah.
And I love John Bon Jovi.
Oh,
I went to Bon Jovi when I was in high school. I even wrote a sketch about it at SNL where when he hosted, John Bon Jovi came out of the poster in my childhood bedroom.
Great.
And I dressed up like I looked when I was 13. And John Bon Jovi, the musician, went into his storage and wore the same outfit that was on the poster is still fit. So he keeps it really tight. And that's why Dorothea is still interested.
I like how he went into his storage. No, he had it in his closet.
Yeah, he had
was wearing it that day.
Yeah, he has all of his poster clothes in his closet right off his bedroom.
Well, I would say in response to you saying about good jokes, I think you and I could probably say that we both came up at a time when the writer was king and writers were really important at SNL and they were really important on your show. And not only do I, like some of them are here in the building and I work with some of them forever, but they were also writer performers and you had a bunch of them on the show and same at SNL. Like it just was, you just can't go in with flimsy material. You have to just keep trying jokes, which I'm sure you're getting ready to do for the Oscars and everything, like over and over again.
No, I haven't started yet.
Oh, good.
It's days away, and I just figured, this will write itself.
Yeah, you have to wait and see, though.
Yeah, do it in the parking lot on the way in. But that's all Lorne. Lorne Michaels, and it's not everywhere. There used to be this era for a long time. Writers were kept like rats in this back room. And I had a really good first job in LA at not necessarily the news, but we weren't part of the production. We didn't really interact with the crew. We were in a room, Greg Daniels and I were in a room with Billy Kimball, and we just had desks that faced each other like accountants, and we just banged out sketches all day long, sight gags, whatever. And then at the end of the day, we'd submit them and go home. But that was, and I remember thinking, this is not the show business I wanted to be in. I want to be backstage. I want to see showgirls, people in horse costumes, people dressed, as a knight. I want all that craziness. And get to SNL, and Lorne, it didn't matter if you were like me, 23, 24 years old. He'd just say, all right, what have you got? What's your name? Conan. Okay, and let's hear your idea. And you tell the idea. Okay, go pitch it to Steve Martin. Me? Or go pitch it to comedy, pick any comedy icon. And I remember thinking, you're allowing me to go into a room alone with this person? I could have why do have you done a background check on me?
Yeah, finish that sentence.
I know, you would have a what?
A knife?
Well, I mean, if it was, I carried a knife back then.
You always bring, you always were flashing your knife.
It's a Brookline thing.
Spinning your knife. Yeah, Brookline knife.
You're a knife guy.
And I just it was one of those ones that flips out and flips back, and I was always around, and I remember a lot of people, Norm was like, can you not do that?
But it's Brookline, so it's a cheese knife. It's for cutting cheese.
For brie.
And having parties and stuff. Yeah.
Look at this. And then
and a
for
beautiful
you,
slice of a brie. Yeah.
You're doing this project now, Palm Royale, which I had the privilege. They let me see a sneak peek of 2 episodes, and I got to talk to Kristen Wiig yesterday for a long time about it, and it is amazing to me that your work it has reached so many generations of people. I mean, just in this room, I'm 60, Matt, you're 50.
Yeah. 41.
41.
Yeah.
Let's just say 40, round it out.
Okay, but I'm 41, but okay, we'll say 40. Yeah.
But these two were apoplectic, nervous about we're going to come in and be in the same room as Carol Burnett.
Oh,
and
my
I'm talking,
God.
yeah.
Our rap sign for this is I do an earlobe tug, like you used to signal to your mother to Eduardo, and that's how
he's been doing that.
Yeah.
Since the day we started this podcast 5 years ago, he's been doing it, and I think you should file suit.
Is it longer than the other? Mine is a millimeter longer.
You tugged it longer?
Yeah, it was measured once.
Oh my God. Wow.
By some pervert in the park?
Yep.
Well, I've been going up to shorten it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so, I remembered you coming on the show and
it was for my grandmother.
For your grandmother, and you did it on the show. And I had one of those moments where I thought, this can't be happening. I can't be here with Carol Burnett while she's tugging on her earlobe. That's the same earlobe. And then you think, dude, relax. You've got to just be in the moment. But this is a bunch of generations of people who are just astounded to be in a room with you and so grateful for all this amazing work you've done, but also talking to Kristen Wiig and your work has, and I don't think that used to be the case. I sometimes think that people used to do their work and then because times were different, they wouldn't rerun shows or they wouldn't be seen again.
Right.
But your work has been seen, and now thanks to, just the internet and your legacy, everyone's very aware of this crazily rich fabric of work you have.
It's wonderful. I get fan mail now from 10-year-olds, teenagers, who we're on like Shout and YouTube and MeTV and all of that. So people are seeing it, and it's just, it's a thrill for me. I have recently just stopped doing it, but for about 25 years, I went around the country doing Q&A.
That's right.
And so just a few short years ago, and I would get audiences that ranged from 5 years old to 100. I mean, it was wild. So this one time, there was this little boy in the second row, and he raised his hand, and I called on him. And I said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Andrew." And I said, "How old are you, Andrew?" And he said, 9.
Oh.
And I said, "And you know who I am?"
Mm-hmm.
And without missing a beat, he said, "Surprisingly, yes."
I don't want to give anything away, no spoiler alerts, but in the first episode, we're meeting all the different, it's an incredible cast you have on Pomerelle.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And just looking at Allison Janney, and it's just,
Laura Dern,
just this powerhouse cast. And I'm watching the show and I'm thinking, well, I know Carol's in here somewhere, but I don't, I don't see her yet. And why isn't she with the other ladies? And then there's this reveal of your character, and you are in a coma. I just thought, and but you're still doing a little something in your coma, and I was like, only Carol Burnett can lie in a coma and kill it. You're the only one that can do it. And then I was like, I want to see, because I know there's no keeping Carol Burnett on this hospital bed.
No.
She's coming out of this coma, and I'm down for it. I want to see all of this, but it must be. It feels to me like you haven't lost this sense of joy of working with people and
no,
just the doing of it.
And also, I'm just thrilled because now I've got some new best girlfriends: Kristen, Allison, Laura Dern.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so now we've bonded, and it keeps me young.
Yeah,
to be able to be. In fact, Allison and I, we wordle.
Oh, a lot of friendships end that way.
Tell me,
if you're not careful,
we wordle.
That may be the most intimate relationship of this modern era, is if you're wordling with someone.
And even connections. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we Allison and I are into connections and wordling. We love it.
How are you with, you're out in the world and people approach you? Do you enjoy that? Or,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always did too. And I have friends who are lovely people who are very well known, and you'd never know it because they appear like extroverts. They're comedians. And then but they're very shy and they don't like it. And I just always felt very lucky that, and I sense that we're similar in some ways. I enjoy it. I'll talk to anybody.
As long as they're, As long as they're nice and, not too pushy or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I enjoy it. I remember when my grandmother and I would go to Hollywood premieres on Hollywood Boulevard. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. We'd hang over the ropes to see all the movie stars coming in to go to the movie. And I remember one of my favorite movie stars was Linda Darnell. She was so beautiful, and she's from Texas. So and at one point she was walking by us to get into the theater, and my grandmother, who was not shy, said, Linda, this little girl just loves you. Give her your autograph. And she looked at me and she said, "What's your name, sweetheart?"
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Carol." She said, "Okay." And she took her time and gave it. So I never forgot that.
Nope.
So it meant the world to me. You never know how much you might be helping somebody by responding to them and being kind.
Yeah.
It's so important.
I've had the experience, and we've talked about it over the years. Years ago, of being in a restaurant and someone waiting on me, and then later on they're a huge movie star, and they remember it because they were waiting a table, and I was a couple of years into my show, and they waited on me, and I always say, was I right? And they always tell me, nope, you were very nice, and you did some bits with me, and then you kept doing bits, and we had to leave. I saw your special of your show, Just For Us. Spectacular. Absolutely amazing. And I know that it is Emmy nominated, and that's why I wanted to get you in here. But I think before we begin to move on to, I think, more important areas, we should discuss the fact that you and I have a lot in common, which I found out the first time you were on my show. Yeah. You leaned over and you was like, I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts, and my dad's a doctor and knows your dad. And I'm from Brookline, Mass. My dad's a doctor. And we both fled that legitimate profession.
My father called me the next day and he went, oh, you were on Dr. O'Brien's son show the other day.
Yes.
What? And he went, yeah, Dr. O'Brien's son's also a comedian. I went, this is a criminal misuse of the word also. I was like, yeah. And he went, he's a good doctor. And I was like, well, his son's a good comic. And he went, yeah, I would expect that because his dad's such a good doctor.
I love this struggle over what our true identities are.
It was truly that, though. He was like, he still practices and really comes in. It's a different, my dad, as if it was, he's in a different grade at the school. He was like, it's a different department, but he's got a lot of respect. I'm like, my dad's a cardiologist. So,
yeah.
Your father
and my dad is a microbiologist.
Yeah.
So the way I've heard it, my dad's first day kind of working at Brigham Women's Hospital in Boston was, I think, 1954.
Wow.
And my dad I just saw him 2 days ago.
I hear that was 2 days before they let the women in. It was just Brigham's. It was just Brigham's before
exactly,
that.
Yeah. It was the Peter Bent Brigham then they changed it to Brigham Women's.
Sorry.
And the whole world went to hell. But yeah, he worked there from I think he worked there for something like 65 years, something crazy. But it's cool because every now and then I bump into people who sort of, obviously they know my father and they respect my father, and they're not that interested in talking to me.
Yeah. I get the same thing where people will come up to me on the street with a crazed look in their eyes. And I'll be like, hi. And they're like, your father saved my life. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Check out my special.
Yeah. How'd you like the show? My father, by the way, if I ever referred to it growing up, I would say Brigham's, and my father would go, and Women's. And I'm like, what's the difference? He went, well, Brigham's is an ice cream parlor, and Brigham's and Women's is the finest medical institution in the United States. He was very serious about it. But my dad's been practicing there for a long time, not nearly as long as your father, but feels great affinity for it.
It's funny because all my memories are, there's 6 kids, and my dad drove this really rusting out Chevrolet Impala 4-door with a squeaky steering wheel. And my childhood memories are my dad getting us in the car to run a quick errand, me and a couple of my brothers maybe. And what he would do is he'd go to the laundromat, he'd go to this place, and then he'd say, I'm just going to, he abbreviated minute. And he'd say, I'm just going to take a min and pop into the Brigham. And so he would park the car and he would go into the Brigham Women's Hospital to check on his bacteria, see what they were up to. And he would leave us in the car, and sometimes 45 minutes to an hour would go by, and then he'd come back and we'd be pissed, but you couldn't complain because he was doing, he was saving lives.
You said it was going to take a min, but it took an
It took an yeah. It took an
That was a full
But that was my memory and I was thinking, you wouldn't leave a dog in a car that long these days. But
I have this memory of my father shaving in the car on the way to work with an electric razor, but with both hands in the mirror while we're going down Route 9. And I was like, Dad, road. He'd be like, I have my knees, I got it. But he's shaving like this. Always so busy. Always. I think my dad has been on call for 32 years.
Yep.
I don't think my father has never. My father had a beeper until
my father had a beeper, and I thought I remember as a kid, like in the 70s, my father had a beeper because he was on call, and I thought, technology will never advance any further than that box on his hip that makes a noise so he can go to a payphone.
We were growing up in synagogue, like on Saturday. I went to an Orthodox Jewish synagogue, and my father's beeper would go off in synagogue, and you could tell who was new based on who turned on and be like, what is that very electronic noise in the no electronic day time frame? So people would turn around, and my brothers would be like, he's a doctor. He's a doctor. Don't worry about it.
Chill. Just chill.
He's saving lives.
Rebbe, chill.
Left and right.
Chill, Rebbe.
Yitzchak, shut the fuck up. You know?
I had an interesting experience because I'm obviously super Irish Catholic. I'm growing up in Brookline, Mass, and the different public schools, they had real identities. And the one I was supposed to go to, Heath School, was very kind of Irish Catholic. All the kids played hockey. It was kind of where I was supposed to go. I don't know why. I think my mother had gotten into a fight with someone at the PTA. Something happened. And it started with my brother Luke. He was sent to the Driscoll School. The Driscoll School in Brookline is surrounded by literally on four sides, there are like four temples. Mm-hmm. And so it was predominantly Jewish. And I was the kind of, oh, look, there's this orange-haired kid named O'Brien.
Yeah.
And isn't this funny? He's Catholic. So I was invited to, I think I went to definitely many, many, many more bar mitzvahs than any other confirmation or anything like that. And the parents all thought it was hilarious that I was there. And they would like pinch my cheeks and go, look at this, Goyim's here. This is crazy. Look at his hair. And I don't know. The whole thing was, I remember feeling very exotic in a town where there are plenty of Irish Catholic kids, but all my friends were Jewish kids.
It was so funny because you went to BHS, yeah?
Yep.
So Brookline High School was like, it was 2 minutes and a whole world away from me because I was raised Orthodox. And so I remember watching the show when I was like 9, 10 years old, being like, he went to BHS? And I was so jealous of the kids who went to BHS because in my mind, not only did they not have to pray 3 times a day, they also let you host a talk show on national television. Like that was my conception of everyone who went to BHS. I'm like, eventually they get to either general manage the Red Sox or have their own television show.
Pretty much the entire class.
Yeah. It's like, wait, does everyone take a turn? Because there was like hundreds of kids in that school,
No, we all got, it was guaranteed if you went to Brookline High. But that was a great lucky thing for me because I think very early on got very comfortable around Jewish kids and really kind of...
Which helped with like Jeff Ross and stuff like that.
Exactly. Because who knew? They run show business with an iron hand.
I've got to make a phone call real quick, but...
Our producer, yes, it did. No, but it was a nice accident for me that I went to Driscoll School, I think, and then just I became sort of more involved in going to bar mitzvahs, things like that, because I remember thinking, and this may sound strange to you, but it all felt so much more relaxed than Catholicism. It felt a little more, I don't know what, and you may not feel that way, but it felt.
I definitely don't. But
okay, all right.
Yeah, no. But yeah, but look, I totally. It's so funny. Brookline does feel like sometimes people say that New Yorkers seem Jewish, even if they're not Jewish, or something about the milieu of it. And I always felt sort of similarly about Brookline, which is that it was, if you were from Brookline, you were both Jewish and a little bit sort of Boston Irish Catholic at the same time. Like you had, because you go to synagogue and you have these thick Boston accents, I have like a fervent memory of like being in synagogue, and there's a part on Friday night services where you turn around and they open the door in the back of the synagogue and everyone says a brief prayer towards the back of the door and then you turn back. But I just remember someone hesitated getting the door and someone in the congregation in the middle of very, very like distinct Hebrew prayers. They went, Stephen, get the dawah! And I was like, how someone with like the voice of like a Father O'Leary, Stephen, get the dawah! Like 6 syllables in door. Dawah! Get the dawah!
How did this guy get into the temple?
Yeah. I was like, wait, that's the rabbi?
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's the rabbi.
It's the rabbi, Sean. Sean Hanlahan.
Oh my God.
I just love the idea that the rabbi's going on and on about the Bruins.
He's like, all right, kid. So Hashem has this problem. You know?
But first he's got to go to Dunkin'. What? Dunkin'?
There was a kosher Dunkin' down the street, and when it opened up, it was like, oh my God. The headline in the synagogue newsletter was like, man lands on the moon. Like kosher Dunkin' opens on Route 9.
There's a kosher Dunkin'?
There's a kosher Dunkin' on Route 9, and we were just blown up. By the way, everyone was excited. I was like, wait, what's not kosher about Dunkin' Donuts?
I know.
Like, no,
yeah. Finally, someone got the shellfish out of the donuts.
It's lard. Apparently, it's lard. They put lard in the donuts.
You know, I've gone to that Dunkin's. I think I know which one you're talking about. And I've enjoyed the donuts, not knowing that they were kosher.
The first time I was lucky enough to do the show, the TV show, I did stand up, and then you were like, come over and sit on the couch. By the way, blew my mind. And I remember being like, don't cry, don't throw up, just like do the thing. And I sit down, and we're sitting there talking about like little Brookline landmarks and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, the house with the yellow roof. He's like, yeah, the house with the yellow roof. And like, and afterwards I came out from my friend Morgan, who came with me. Was like, what were you guys talking about? Like, if I told you, you'd either be upset or think I was lying to you, or just like wouldn't make sense. Like little tiny places in Brookline. There's such a neighborhood. It's such a
thing. And I still get sentimental. I as I said, I was just there this weekend, and still driving around and stopping off and going to the old spots, and it's very powerful. But I don't know if you had this experience. It's a wonderful place to be from. But when I was 16 years old,
couldn't wait to leave.
All I did was, and I actually said to people, I can't wait to get out of this dump. And it was because I was very ambitious and 16, 17, like, I got to get out of this shithole. You know, I'm from some...
Which you immediately accomplished by going to Harvard.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, boy, you really fled the coop.
I sure did. You know what I did? I hopped on a train like a hobo. I went 6 miles to Cambridge.
I got to spread my wings and take the 60 bus. 7 stops. Literally, I know how they... Do you know, by the way, Boston, though, is a great place for me to grow up, because I think maybe it's a specific time. God, maybe it's a specific time I grew up in, but people, like my parents, genuinely were just like, they gave me a pair of rollerblades and let me go. And when I was like 11 years old, I would just like rollerblade around and like take the train and take the bus. And like, if I was interested in comedy, I would like sneak into the Lampoon archives, because those kids were always drunk guarding the door. And I would like sneak into like go to the Kennedy Library and see like Sergeant Shriver and Doris Kearns Goodwin speak. And like, it was that time. And I was at the Red Sox all the time because I got a job there. And that was the perfect time. The city was just medium sized enough that you could eat almost all of it if you were like curious enough. And I worry that like, I don't know, there aren't many cities where like parents give their 11-year-olds a pair of rollerblades, because nobody rollerblades anymore anyway. That one homophobic joke killed it. And then like you just like and just be like, get out of here, go find something that you're interested in.
I don't think it's the city though. I think it's the time, because I was just driving down Route 9 2-3 days ago. My brother Neil's in the car, and we pass this little shed, and I said, I used to wait for the bus there when school was over in 3rd grade. Myself, Virginia Chapman, and Isabel Zimmerman, we were this little tiny 3rd graders, would walk down to this little shed and wait for a city bus to come by. Not a school bus, a regular bus, and get on it and then take it down to the stop that dropped me off at my house and then them at their houses. And I thought, my wife would never let our kids in 3rd grade, like when your day at 3rd grade is up, wander down to the highway and get the bus that goes into Boston and just make sure you get off on your stop.
Yeah, see if you can hitchhike if it doesn't work. You know?
Yeah.
Just like try.
If there's a van, just get in it. Maybe he's got candy.
I hitchhiked home all the time, genuinely. Like the T would stop at like 12:15. And if I wanted to stay, I'd be like, I'll just hitchhike. I'm like a 16-year-old, 15-year-old at like a comedy show.
Right.
At like a Dick Doherty's comedy vault or something like that. And be like, the show's going to 12:30. I'll just be like, anyone here want to take me, a nubile young teen, home? You know, like just very sorry.
I'll make it worth your while.
Oh, no.
Well, come on. It's the way to get a ride.
So he was the actual predator in this situation. Okay.
So, for the people from Brookline listening, this has been a thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, sorry. Can we put this at the end and everything else?
No.
This episode is actually just going out regionally.
Yeah.
So.
Now for Newton.
So what do you think of Wellesley and Sharon?
Yeah, we're going to work our way slowly out until we get through the entire United States. This I have to bring up, which is the similarities. You're good friends. You've been good friends since high school. And there are some similarities. Both your fathers in the business. You lost your father at an early age. It's a very sad story. He died performing at a Friars Club roast on stage. Mm-hmm. Park your carcass, and that was a loss that clearly had a huge effect on you.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and
he says something in the documentary that I didn't know, and when I heard it, I couldn't believe it. He said that when he was a kid, he used to go to sleep with the radio on, and his mother would come in while he was sleeping and turn it off at night. And one morning he woke up and the radio was still on.
It was like 3 a.m.
3 a.m. He woke up and he said he knew at that point that his father had died.
Because your father had been sickly. And
but he was sick my whole life. You know, he was healthier from my brothers, but by the time I was born, it was not good, and he had trouble walking. So for my life, he was ill, always ill. Yeah. So I was always worried about it. So it wasn't like a premonition. I thought this was happening every day.
I remembered you, I had heard about it, and then you and I got to have a dinner once, and you told me the story, and it's absolutely unbelievable. He was on the Friars Club dais, and it's 1958, and he destroys. I mean, absolutely destroys. And he's the hit of the night.
You can listen to it. It's
yes,
on YouTube.
I've listened to it.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and he sits down at his seat and passes away. And it's weird because it's the thing that comedians talk about sometimes, almost in a wistful way. Like, I'd love to kill in front of a crowd and then just quickly go.
Yeah. And what I'm always amazed at is that he finished. You know,
he finishes.
It could happen on the way up to the mic. It could happen during, but he finished. Mm-hmm. So that's the coolest part.
And then they tried to save the evening.
The insane part. They send it. Your father. They're working on him backstage. Milton Berle says to a singer at the time,
Tony Martin,
go up there and sing
number one hit in America.
And he says, sing.
And Milton Berle didn't know what the song was. He says, go sing your hit. Tony Martin stands up and he sang, and his hit was called There's No Tomorrow.
Oh, Jesus.
Shit. Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
There's no tomorrow.
While they're working on your dad in the back.
Oh, my God.
Good God. And now... Your father, of course, lived a wonderful, I think, 170 years.
Yeah, and 98.
And was, I got to know him. He was such a beautiful man, such a lovely man, so encouraging and absolutely lovely. The first time he came on my late night show, he came out and he said, this is my first time on the show, so I'm going to mark my territory. So he walked around to the back of the show, miming, peeing it. But I don't think my crowd knew what mark your territory meant. And he sat down, and it had gotten nothing. And he went, well, that completely didn't work. And that was my favorite part. My favorite part was him just saying... because any bit where you have to get up, leave the...
There's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Was Carl walking around mocking peeing great? Or the fact that your audience didn't like it, was it shitty?
Or didn't understand it? Yeah.
I'd say it was great.
Last night, I was at CBS where we shot All in the Family and all this stuff, and they had a special for Dick Van Dyke, who's 98, turning 98. And I opened the thing and introduced it and talked about how the first pilot of the Van Dyke Show was my dad did it. He started, and it was called Head of the Family, and it didn't sell. And Sheldon Leonard, who was producing the show, said, the script is great. We just need to find a better you. And that's where he got
Enter Dick Van Dyke.
And I tell that story. I told that story at the beginning.
It's funny. I've seen the footage of the original Dick Van Dyke Show, which didn't have Dick Van Dyke. I've seen the footage of your dad in that role, and it looks insane.
Yeah.
Because it's like if someone showed you Casablanca, but instead of Humphrey Bogart,
Ed Wynn.
Yeah, exactly. Going, ooh.
Doesn't that sound like a Sinatra song he never recorded? We just need to find a better you.
Yes, a better you. So he was encouraging of you being in comedy? Was he worried for you?
He didn't say anything. He never said yes or no. And so I never knew. I mean, I didn't know. It wasn't until I was like 19 and I directed a production of No Exit, of all things. It was Jean-Paul Sartre, Richard Dreyfuss was in it, and that was the first time I ever got anything from my dad, where he came backstage and he says, that was good, no bullshit. And he looked me in the eye and said that. So the only time he ever gave me any kind of encouragement. And I went to visit him at his house then the next day, and he said, I'm not worried about you. You're going to be okay, whatever you want to do. But I was already 19.
I saw something. I mentioned this to you once, and I feel like I failed because I can't find it. But somewhere I saw footage, because briefly you were part of a doubles act. You were partnered with Joey Bishop's son.
Yeah, Larry Bishop.
Bishop. And someone with like a Super 8 camera, right after you've done a show, maybe it's 1968, 69, takes you out onto a fire escape and interviews both of you.
Wow.
And they're talking to both of you about you having famous dads.
Yeah.
And I saw this thing and I thought, well, surely you've seen this. And then you said you've never seen it.
I've never seen it. And Larry and I opened at the Hungry Eye for Carmen McRae. And we were booked into all those nightclubs, the ones, the Rooster Tail in Detroit, Mr. Kelly's in Chicago, Paul's Mall, the Bitter End. We were booked into everyone. And after that run, he said, I can't do this anymore.
By the way, before that in high school, I had an act with Larry.
Yeah.
And this is funny. Al and Larry, we were in high school, and there was no such thing as an improv or any place. A guy on Cahuenga named Laird Brooks Schmidt. He looked like Ernie Kovacs. Mm-hmm. He opened his house. He called it Laird's Lair. So you could.
That was the thing. It was a
little. That's not a pedophile.
No. Here was the rule.
Creeps right now all over America are hearing this, going, "That's it. It's a comedy club."
Here was the rule. You could perform there if you brought the audience. So Larry and I had to bring our friends from high school who heard the same bits at lunch. This time they had to pay $5 and sit in a guy's house.
It's in the living room.
Yeah,
the guy's living room.
It's the same thing. And they're looking at us like, oh, okay, but what is this? This was lunch. And, it's a club. And it was a guy's house. First thing I've ever seen in this city that even got strangers together at a person's house.
And how long did that guy's thing last?
Till he came.
He had a very strange proclivity. Very strange proclivity.
I absolutely loved the documentary, Albert Brooks, Defending My Life, and thought it was beautifully done. And what was great was this has been long overdue because your body of work, Albert, is insanely rich and ingenious and inspiring for generations of comedians. But it took a friend, because you guys knew each other. You met in high school?
Right.
You met in high school.
Yes. And we've known each other for 60 years. And I always wanted to do this when, you remember the film, My Dinner with Andre, when it came out? I thought at that point, I said to Albert, come on, we'll go to a deli. We'll sit down. It'll be my lunch with Albert and we'll do it. And he never wanted to do it at that point. But then at a certain point, I don't know what made you change your mind, but we decided to do it. And that became the centerpiece of the documentary. The two of us just sitting in a restaurant and talking.
Someone came to me before Rob with the idea of doing a documentary, and it didn't work out. But then the idea was like, the idea but to do it is good. So then I was having dinner with Rob, and do you ever want to do my lunch with Albert? And I said, well, what if we combine this? We do that, and then we also broaden it out and do clips and talk to people.
Well, the absolute rocket fuel are the bits. And because the comedic bits that you were doing, they're evergreen. My favorite comedy has not been topical. I always thought what you were doing was absolutely magical because it was concept driven. And every single sketch bit that you've done, whether it was on the Tonight Show or the Flip Wilson Show or the Johnny Cash Show, there are people who had shows. I can't believe who had a show. And everybody had a show.
Everybody
Conan
had a
O'Brien.
Show.
Yeah, exactly. Even Conan O'Brien
had a show. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But you said
everybody,
it,
everybody
Conan. You said it in the documentary that it was like he broke the sound barrier. It was like Chuck Yeager.
Yes.
And they found a new way of presenting comedy. And Albert was...
Well, that's been misinterpreted. What I was saying is Albert's as funny as Chuck Yeager. And then people took it this other way.
And who was funnier, Kissinger or Chuck Yeager?
I would say Yeager.
That's not the fair thing.
But you did a kind of, there was a kind of comedy that you started.
I made up a joke the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Neil Armstrong was at a party and told these people a joke and no one laughed. He told a joke about the moon and no one laughed. And he said, well, I guess you had to be there.
I was with you. I love this moment. First time I met Albert was at this event, and I'd never met him before. And I was, I'll back up just a second because I was so relieved. You said something in the documentary, Rob, that resonated with me, which is, I think I've met everybody, just about everybody, and I'm never intimidated. I was intimidated to meet Albert. I was worried about it. I thought we're probably going to bump into each other at some point, and I felt a little queasy about it. And then you say in the documentary that you always were intimidated by Albert.
Well, it's not just intimidated. You just, where is this coming from? This mind. I've never met anybody that had a mind that works that way. And other comics, established comics, Larry David in the documentary says the same thing, that he was, so happy when Albert gave him approval to a joke he said or something like that. You have to understand, in the circles I was with, I don't care who they were. It was Robin Williams, Billy Crystal. I don't care who were when we got together and people started spritzing. When Albert went, it was like, challenge dance when everybody's challenging. When Albert started, everybody backed off.
Yeah.
Everybody backed off because they knew that, here comes the guy. Here's Babe Ruth stepping into the cage. And
I always thought it was a cool thing. And then when I got married, my wife said, it's because you never shower.
You think that's why they backed off? Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember. Thought you had good personal hygiene.
It was so funny because Albert was the first time I met you. You won't remember this, but we were standing, it was someone's house. We're standing by a pool, and you told me a joke. You told me a story that was really funny, and I laughed, legitimately laughed. It was a very funny story. And you had some friend with you who I didn't know, and the friend just kind of shrugged and said, well, I guess you had to be there. And you turned on your friend and went, no, he laughed. left. Apparently, you didn't have to be there. And I was in the moment watching, you know, and
I
Albert.
remember I said, don't you understand that expression?
Yeah.
That's when nobody laughs. If somebody laughs, you don't have to be anywhere.
You don't have to be anywhere.
A stupid man.
I don't know who it was, but forever in my mind, I cherish that moment.
But Albert, you know, we talked about this in the documentary. Albert would go on national television, live television, without ever trying out the bit he was going to do.
Yes.
That to me is, talk about working without a net. I mean, this is, in the case, Annette Funicello, which was what would make anybody good. But no, he no, but
that's bordering on you had to be there.
Well, you had to know that reference. No, but he would do this, and you know, we shared a house together, and you know, I don't remember it exactly, but he did the first time he did the mime piece. I don't think it worked. Did it work the first time you did it?
Well, the very first time, I don't think it worked. It was the Steve Allen show.
Yeah, it worked. So
nobody knew anybody.
The point is, you know, he came out. He was doing a mime. And he came out in the white face and the leotards, and he never stopped talking.
It's so funny.
And so it's a brilliant piece, and it didn't play the way it should have. And then time goes by, and I think you were called to do the Tonight Show or something.
Yeah.
And I said, Albert, what are you going to do on the show tonight? He says, I'm going to do the mime piece. And I said, yeah, but it didn't do well. He says, yeah, but it's funny. I said, I know it's funny, but it didn't get the kind of, he says, yeah, but it's funny. And that's the thing that I learned about Albert, which is, it is funny. The audience has to catch up to it. They just have to know it. And Johnny Carson was hosting, and he came out, and the same kind of thing where they were a little bit hesitant. They didn't know. Johnny went.
Yeah.
And I was there. Johnny literally fell off his chair, and the audience said, I see.
Yes.
I get what this is.
A lot of times, in my experience, if the audience is looking at the host and they want permission and that they need permission, then they know everything's okay.
Yeah.
And so that bit, come out and you're talking and you're describing, I am now walking against the wind, I'm doing it, but then it just goes into stand-up comedy as a mime about my wife. And, you know, she said she lost 30 pounds. And I said, look behind you, you'll find it. And you're in total mime makeup and you're doing it. And the thing is that I think when I talked in the doc about breaking the sound barrier, to me, it's about the level of commitment. And it's why I think it was no surprise that you turned out to be such an excellent actor. When you were doing these pieces, I think there was a time in show business where you needed to let everybody know, I'm in show business. These are jokes. Let's have a good time. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And what you were doing was this like De Niro like commitment to whatever you're talking about. You're looking down the barrel of the lens and you're saying, this is a very serious thing I'm doing right now. I really am the world's best pickpocket. I'm very good at it. And then you proceed to be absolutely miserable at it. But I think it's the idea combined with the intensity of the attack. That's what I always thought no one else was doing.
Yeah.
And now I think we see that, you know, that you made it okay for everybody to sort of work out.
I mean, you know, with respect to people, the audience is the last to know anything. I never understood the idea of doing it for an audience because the audience doesn't know anything until they see it. So if you do anything they haven't seen before, you don't get immediately rewarded. Like when you're previewing a movie with cards, the movies that get 100 are the movies they've seen every other weekend.
Right. They're familiar.
They're familiar.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar doesn't get a good grade. Yeah. But what do? You just never do it?
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's the same. Right. It's the same if we go into a restaurant and it's a fine restaurant and we're served a dish. We don't know anything about this. We take the word of the person who owns the restaurant and we taste something we've never tasted. And if the world didn't have that possibility, and by the way, I think show business that's the holy grail, is no risk.
Yeah.
And I think as algorithms get mature and as more executives get parking spots, the then the risk is less and less
Yeah.
because it's a business. Why do you want to take a risk?
I mean, I learned from Albert, when I saw how committed he was to doing that bit, even though when we first screened Spinal Tap, which, it was, Albert had done real life before that, but this was the first kind of about rock and roll, and it was a mock documentary, and we previewed it in Dallas. And people came up to me afterwards and they said, I don't understand. Why would you make a movie about a band that nobody's ever heard of and one that's so bad? And so it's like, they didn't know what we were doing. It took them a while to figure out that we're making fun of this, and I learned from Albert, you got to stick to your guns and hopefully the audience will catch up.
You were interested in comedy at a very early age, right?
Yeah, it's a thing where, again, this is just, we were talking about David Letterman earlier. For me, you were like Letterman because I didn't watch Letterman. So that was comedy. To me, it was The Simpsons, SNL, Seinfeld, and Conan was late night to me. So this is a weird thing for me.
Well, that's very cool of you to say. And we're just going to put that on the loop. If you don't mind. We're just going to put that over and over and over again.
Truly, it's more of a function of my age. It's not like I like you better than Letterman. I just didn't
exactly.
watch it. It's really just my age.
No, exactly. Exactly. You just weren't alive when Dave was hitting it out of the park. That's all. I'll start, first of all, by congratulating you on the podcast you're doing with Mr. Rob Lowe, and it's called Parks and Recollection. This is a show that I'm very excited about. Yes, full disclosure, it's part of our Team Coco empire, if you will. But you guys talking about that show, which I really admire, which you wrote on, and so you have all this access to how it was put together, as does Rob from a different angle. Sounds like a very cool project.
Yeah, and it has you producing has nothing to do with me being here. Zero.
Oh, not at all.
Zero.
I had, let me tell you something, Alan. I'm at a point in my career where I don't even know what I'm involved in anymore. So
it's an empire. It's an empire.
It's
Shondaland, you know.
No, it really is. It really is. And so there are times where people remind me, hey, Conan, you have a big part of ExxonMobil.
Right.
Like you're a major stockholder. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know.
And that's when you encourage them to just forget safety precautions, send the boats out there no matter what the weather conditions are. Just
hey, they're getting paid. The last time I checked, they were getting money. And I say, if there's rough seas in the North Atlantic, get out there and get the oil. That's what I say to them.
Who cares where the icebergs are? No, but the podcast. No, the podcast has been really fun. We just started recording it, and God, at first, to be honest, I was like, I don't know if I want to watch all these episodes again. It's a lot of time.
Well, let's bring people up to date. You worked for. Were you there the entire time?
I was
Parks
there
and Rec?
for 125 episodes. As far as writers go, Mike Scher, the co-creator, and me, I think we're the only ones who were there the whole time. So,
right.
Yeah. So.
And so you were there at that show, and I remembered. I'm obviously very good friends with Greg Daniels, who was responsible for bringing The Office to the United States, and then of course, had a hand in getting Parks and Rec going, and so I was very familiar with both shows, and I remember The Office had kind of a slow start initially, and then took off. Parks and Rec, it didn't happen right away for Parks and Rec.
It's still taking off now. It's 2021. I think it was though. Season 1, it was definitely almost an identical trajectory to The Office, and right. I think for similar reasons. Because if you look at The Office, what Greg did with The Office, again, a brilliant show. He's adapting it from a British one, and right. So the first season's a little bit closer to the British one, and then the second season kind of sprouts its wings and flies on its own and becomes its own thing. And Parks and Rec started, as was conceived at first, was maybe going to be an Office spinoff, and then it wasn't. And so that first season, I think Mike and Greg were still trying to work out kinks and trying to okay, how different from The Office tonally, et cetera.
Right.
And then second season, it really starts taking off. And part of that was taking on Amy Poehler's personality as well and making use of her. So
a really good TV show, in my opinion, is not a finite thing. It's an organism. The shows I've always really loved, if you look at The Simpsons, for example, you can look at the first season, and Dan Castellaneta does not have Homer's voice yet.
Yeah.
His way into Homer was he sort of thought of his voice as being a Walter Matthau kind of voice. And you can listen to that first year of The Simpsons,
and it's a lot of boy.
Yeah, it's a lot of boy.
Boy, get here, boy. Now you listen to me. And then it changes, and then they find it. And I think shows, like a lot of things, and probably like a restaurant or so many endeavors, you need to figure it out. You find it by doing it. And I think people sometimes misunderstand and think it's a widget. It's something that's manufactured and you're cranking them out and you do 22 and then the next 22. The only way you really know what your show is by doing it. My late night shows were constantly changing and morphing, and often sometimes not by design. It was just sheer desperation. We don't have anything today. I know. What if a bear masturbated?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're off on that, and you've hit what many call a renaissance.
Of the form of television, of television in general.
Well, just as far as masturbation humor goes, I think quite fairly a renaissance. But yeah, it's fascinating to me that these things evolve, and it was not all assigned on day one.
It's fascinating. It's exactly what you said, which is, and you lived on the long end of this, right? You're doing a daily show,
Right.
You can really react to what the audiences think, how they're reacting, what you're like as a host, what Andy's doing, whatever, all of that stuff, you can react. It's a read and react type thing. And so with a show like Parks, they don't make that shows that run that long anymore. So, we went on to do Master of None. It's been 6 years. We've done 25 episodes of Master. It's so crazy.
Aziz is now, I tuned in the other day, he's 65 years old.
Yeah. It just
and he's on his third hip.
Yeah.
Yes, that kind of television where you're just cranking it out every day and going through massive arcs, sort of creative arcs over 3-month periods.
Yeah.
And people saw it or they didn't. There was no checking it out later on online. Now when you go back and watch it, and for a lot of people for the first time, they say, wait a minute, there's something going on here. And I think that's what's happened with Parks and Rec, is that it's enjoyed a renaissance. I'm friends with Nick Offerman, and he's said the same thing. Like, this is fascinating that people are finding the show now. And it's been, what has it been, 10 years since you guys made one?
Yeah, and it's a fun as hell rewatch. That's what I'm realizing while rewatching it. It's almost perfectly designed for right now, 2020, 2021, the darkest time in a long time, where everyone's indoors. You're looking for something warm, something heartfelt, something comforting. It's a great rewatch. I sound like an NBC executive right now, but literally, like, while watching it's
I was going into night terrors. Just something. I smell sulfur in the room. It's interesting because you're grabbed by the theater. You're this kid, as I said, who you start reading Chekhov. Yeah. You start reading the classics, and it grabs you, and you start seeing some productions. You get into theater. You have so many go nowhere jobs just to stay alive. I mean, you're delivering papers. You're building superintendent for a while, but not a good one. I don't think.
Never. The guy came out and started talking about me a few years back.
Yeah,
saying he was a terrible super. Or something like that. And I thought, why? Why would he say that?
Yeah. And
who's a terrible super? I'm sure there's a lot around. I mean,
No, I saw that. There's a really old man who was like, I remember him. He was a terrible super. And I'm like, okay, take his Oscar back.
I know. Fine actor, terrible super.
Christopher Walken, bad mechanic. Robert De Niro, it's just an awful substitute teacher. It's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? These are. So you come along, you're doing theater, and then this thing that people dream about happens, which is you get noticed. Francis Ford Coppola is going to make The Godfather, and he says, I want this guy, Al Pacino. And the studio says, fuck you.
Of course.
We want Robert Redford. We want someone who's been a success. We want someone who looks a certain way. We want someone probably blonde hair, blue eyed, whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at you when I say it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. They wanted me, actually.
My grandmother.
I was 8 at the time. Yeah.
My grandmother on my mother's side has blonde hair, blue eyes. Mm-hmm. So just to note that.
It's in there. It's in you somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
But what I'm saying
had to put
is
it in.
They don't want you, I've seen the screen test where they're saying, okay, well, how about Jimmy Caan as Michael Cole? How about, they're trying everybody. They're throwing everybody in there. Yeah. But Francis Ford Coppola sticks with you. They start shooting and you can tell, you read in the book and it's riveting on the set. People are like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know about this guy. I don't know what. And you can feel it.
Yeah, well, they were giggling.
You heard giggling.
Yes.
So here's what's amazing to me. These scenes that I've watched and that everyone's watched in this room 100,000 times that are now iconic masterclasses in how you play a character, you're doing it and people are going, oh man, let's hope they get a real actor in here soon.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable to me.
Was it that severe, Conan?
I was an 8-year-old kid, but I was there. And I had a lot of pull with the studio. I called Paramount, and I was like, I don't think he's got it. Who is this? 8-year-old Conan O'Brien. What are you? I'll be a big deal someday. You'll see. Why aren't you using a real phone? Why are you miming one with your hand? But,
oh, my God. It's funny.
But no, and the thing is, which is, to me, I look at that performance, and as you say in the book, your concept, which was clearly the right one, which is you got to slowly see Michael come to this position. And then there's the iconic scene where they're all trying to figure out, after Vito's been shot, what to do. And you are sitting there with your broken jaw and you say, okay, we arrange a meeting, and the camera's pushing in. I can't watch that and I can't talk about it without tingling, because I think it is a beautiful way to tell a story through acting. But it takes patience. And the studio was saying,
well, they wanted to see something else, I guess. And both Francis and I think, felt that way about it. But we were unable, or at least I was unable to articulate what I was doing, but I was doing that. I thought about it on my long walks in Manhattan.
You talk about it. You would take long walks. You get the film, but it hasn't started shooting yet. You took long walks.
Yeah, I would go all the way from 91st to the Village and back. 91st and Broadway, and I just think about the part. Think about it. I still do that with roles. I just think about them, and it's fun. It gets me through the walk.
Yeah, you get your step.
Yeah,
I'm glad to know that in coming up with who Michael Corleone was, you got your steps in.
Yeah, there it is. I managed not to get hit by a car. That was in those days.
They should make a Fitbit that tells you have achieved the character. 10,000 steps, and you've nailed.
Walking.
Stop now. You've nailed Michael Corleone. You've got it.
I love it.
But you know what's fascinating to me that I didn't know is that Coppola wants to show the studio, so it wasn't supposed to shoot yet, but he moves up the famous scene in the Italian restaurant.
I think he said he didn't do that. So I corrected in the book a little bit, but
it's a good story. Let's
but
go
it
with
is. I think it's true.
Yeah,
I think he was sensing it. But the conversation in the Ginger Man. Do you remember the Ginger Man in Manhattan, 64th? And and that's where he called me in, and he was sitting there with his family and eating, and it's a bar and grill that I frequented, and a lot of people did. It's beautiful. Did you ever go there?
I didn't go there, but you talk about it, and it's kind of very well known. It's kind of iconic place. It was a hangout, a watering hole, a place.
I mean, Bernstein would go in there, and great music, because Lincoln Center was across the street from it. So you'd see people who, you collaborated with on things. So I walked in there again. That was a big thing for me to walk into Ginger Man because, I didn't go there because I didn't have money to buy the drinks. Yeah. So I went in there, and Francis was eating with his family, and I was standing there, and he says, we had a talk.
So I thought, well, where are we going to go? You know, and we're not going to go anywhere. He didn't say that, but he thought
he didn't. Thing is, you're standing, he's sitting, and he doesn't invite you to sit.
Oh no,
my God.
That's the first sign.
This is important. You're standing there, and you've been shooting for, a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
And he tells you.
Well, he tells me, I had faith in you. I believed in you. I said, yeah, I know. He says, well, you're not cutting it. I thought, oh, what do I do now? What do I say now? I said, well, I guess that would be a problem, I guess. I mean, so tell me, what do you mean? He says, well, I want to show you the rushes, meaning the footage that we had shot already and that I was going to see something. I said, well, can I have some of that hamburger? This retrospect, I love to think of what I might have done or wanted to do. And so I went to the Paramount theater that they had this screening, and I sat there. I wasn't used to looking at myself on screen. I just didn't want to do that. I had done Panic in Needle Park already, so I don't know if you've seen that film.
Right. And you'd had a little bit of experience, but not much.
Not much at all. That was my first film. Or a Patty Duke film. I had a couple of lines in. But I went and saw the rushes, and I'm looking at the screen, and I'm seeing the takes of different things. I'm thinking, well, that is not spectacular. But why should it be? Because I'm trying to see, I was hoping that I could blend in with the scenery and not be seen specifically or, spotted and wow,
Right.
I just wanted to just blend and just be natural. And I thought, well, I know that's the way it looks now, but that's part of what is going to turn into Michael Corleone. And that's going to be the impact, because where did this guy come from?
Yeah.
And he's an enigmatic kind of character anyway, throughout The Godfathers, 1 and 2 especially. So I thought that was the way I was going to go. So, of course, I said to Francis, naturally, the actor's instinct, I just said, yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
That always quiets everybody down. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. I'll work on that.
We'll work on that. And then I thought, I thought I was out, and I sort of wanted to be out in a way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I did. I thought, what am I doing in this place? I mean, and those guys in the restaurant with me, the great Sterling Hayden. And little Al Lettieri. I mean, they were amazing.
Salazzo. Yeah.
Salazzo.
I mean, the thing is, you shoot that scene, which is, to this day, I can't watch that scene and not have my eyeballs fall out.
You're sitting across from him like Salazzo.
Yeah. And don't let this man go to the bathroom.
I know. We have an old chain flusher, too. This is bad.
It's the old time. You pull the chain. So I...
I don't like repeats.
Then you're safe.
You're all right. So you shoot that scene. They send that scene to Paramount, to the suits back in L.A., and they go, oh, okay.
Well, you have to understand one thing, because I after I shoot these two guys, who I really loved, by the way. And I shoot them, and I'm running out, and I sort of drop the gun, and I go into the street and jump in a moving car.
Right.
So they didn't have a stuntman for me there, or they didn't want me to. Maybe they assumed that I would jump and get hurt, and I'd be out of the film. Just coming to me now, Conan.
That's an old Coppola trick. He put me in a film, it wasn't working out, and they threw me out of a car.
That's got to go into the box of resentments. But anyway, I did miss the car.
What?
Yeah, and I fell. It's in the book. We forget those things.
No, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I fell, and I was hurt. Kind of, my ankle was hurt somehow. It slipped. The car had one of those side things that you could jump on and then jump in. So I was just looking up at the sky, and I said, "Thank you, God." This was my thought. I actually said, thank you, God, you're going to get me out of this film.
Unbelievable.
That's how much I wanted to leave it.
Wow.
I said, this is from heaven.
Yeah.
And people just all got around me, and they said, he's hurt. Yeah. So I said, oh, yeah. And then they put one of these big fat needles in my ankle so I could finish the day. Mm-hmm. And they kept me. They kept me because they saw the rushes of that
scene,
event.
and they knew. And what's so amazing is, movie comes out, and this surprised me. Movie comes out, it's a phenomenon. I remember it. I was 1972. I would have been 9 years old at the time. All anybody did was talk about that movie. People quoted it. It was, I mean, it's hard to describe today what a huge cultural moment it was. And you, in the book, talk about how uncomfortable you were.
Yeah.
You know, it's the thing, we live in this society now where everybody wants to be famous, and people would think, oh my God, if I could be a young Al Pacino who's just done The Godfather, oh my God, would I tear up the talent? You hide. You don't love it. You don't, and you're drinking a lot. And
I think it was that period, that time of life when this wasn't in our social understanding. We didn't care about fame, and as a matter of fact, it was somewhat in the Hollywood. Somewhat was frowned upon in the theater, by the way, and they gave us this great entertainment, these great actors on the screen, but it was a kind of folklore for us. And if you go to Hollywood, you lose your talent and something like that.
Yeah,
that spread around. But also, I was extremely. I was a bit embarrassed because I heard something like Kerouac, Jack Kerouac, on the road. So he goes and he drinks his life away because he felt this embarrassment. I don't know where that comes from, self-esteem, whatever, but I felt I didn't want to be noticed. Part of my thing was I just wanted to creep around, and just do my thing. And so one time I'm at a light. Actually, I'm at a traffic light, and I'm standing there to cross the street, and this kind of gorgeous, redhead. I'm sorry, it wasn't you, Conan, but it was another redhead.
I'm a man, excuse me. I'm about as much man as it gets.
You're still a gorgeous redhead.
I'm a gorgeous redhead.
Yeah, she didn't look like you. Be straight with you.
That ruins the story. It ruins the story if it looks like me. Yeah.
So she says hello to me. She says, hi. I thought, oh, wow. I said, wow, hi. She says, hi, Michael. And it was as though I said, this is crazy. She's calling me Michael because she knows me.
Yeah.
She knows me from the film. And I just retreated. I couldn't understand that. Nobody did that to me. My entire life, nobody responded. Oh, wow. They never said that. They didn't know. They said, get away, So I was kind of shocked, and I retreated. And then I start seeing it happen throughout, in these various pockets. There's people, woman kissing my hand, people treating me. And my friend Charlie's there, and the woman comes up to me and says, that Al Pacino? He says, yeah. She says, is that Al Pacino? He says, well, somebody's got to be,
Yeah, famous. It freaked you out. It freaked you out.
You Al Pacino? I said, yeah. He says, congratulations. You look like you oughta.
You do look very Al Pacino-y. I thought so today. I was like, that guy's reeks of Al Pacino. You know what shocked me is, again, and I think I speak for a lot of us when I think, type up, put your name in, and you're just going to see one of the great, if not the most influential actors, blah, 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 blah. You, in the 80s, hit a cold spot, and you talk about it in the book.
Yeah.
And you think, well, my movie career is over. And you are kind of out of it for a little bit. You're trying to do some theater and stuff, but that's shocking to me now because that wasn't something, you felt it, you lived it.
Well, I thought, I don't know what's going on. I thought, I don't want to be doing this anymore. There's something going on. Things are not working. Scarface was such a disaster. And when I thought it was, it was a good film. I mean, it was going to work, but it didn't. And it actually made money. There's the critics sort of took a dislike to it. But at the same time, I just didn't know. I didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. I thought, well, let's refresh and let's go back and do some of the things that I started with.
That fed you, things like theater,
of course,
getting there, being connected to people, get away from this stuff. Yeah,
talking through things, pieces of work, whether it's Oedipus or whatever, because, when you do those kind of plays, they're always in translation, of course. So translation means everything. Who's the translator? And so spending time with that stuff, whether you're doing Chekhov or Strindberg or some of the great plays, American plays, So I liked getting involved, and that's what happens at the Actors Studio. You're able, that's what we do there. And so I did a movie called Looking for Richard.
I was going to bring this. This is what I was going to bring up. And I was going to bring this up for a reason. You did this project called Looking for Richard. And it's about Richard III. And it's so many things. It's a fascinating movie because you see different performances for Richard III, interpretations of it throughout the film. But you do something that I have some familiarity with, which is a big part of my career has been leaving the studio, getting a camera, finding real people and trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
And I love that part. It terrifies me, but I love it. And it's been, I don't know, maybe 70% of the work that I've done that people really like is that kind of work where I'm out there doing this stuff and things are happening in real time. A big part of Looking for Richard, there's a thread that runs through it where it's you on the street talking to people about what does Shakespeare mean to you, and you are so quick and funny and vulnerable. And I was watching that part going like, damn it, he's good at that. I mean, that's the one thing that I can relate to of all of your work is going out there with a camera. And I was blown away. You're talking to people, you're getting them to talk about Shakespeare, you're on the streets of New York, you talk to some young kid and you say, what do you think of Hamlet? He goes, Hamlet sucks. You go, Hamlet sucks! But it's wonderful. It's fantastic. It's you out there, and what I love is you keep stripping it all away and saying, let's lose all this, Oscar iconic films. Let's lose all that. I'm going to put on a baseball cap backwards and I'm going to walk through the streets and talk to people about Shakespeare and we're going to get our hands dirty.
I was sort of driven to that by having what you had just said, that you want to have a piece of yourself in this. You want to, you're tired of just doing stuff that's not giving you what you need as in your creative that creative gene we have, and it's just not being supplied with stuff because it happens to everybody. So other actors too, you that's why some actors, I talk about that in the book, will repeat roles because they scored in them and they did well in them and they continue to do well in them, but they're capable of doing much more.
And it's hard to grow if you don't keep challenging yourself.
Right. You got to challenge yourself. That's why I like chaos.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place.
I certainly am. And that's why when I looked at you and I said that too.
The other day, I wanted my son, who's 18, I wanted him to see real acting, real writing. So I said, come with me. My wife was out of town. It sounds like I'm going to show him pornography, but that was...
I know.
No. But no. Hey, she's out of town! This is a movie. This is called Debbie Does Dallas. I showed him the movie Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, yeah.
And he's riveted. I'm riveted. It's such an incredible cast. The whole thing. And the next morning I go and he's blown away. And I'm like, okay, you get it? That's, and he loved it.
And the next morning I go to get breakfast and I run smack into David Mamet. And
wow.
Yeah. And I said, hey, last night. And he was like, please leave me alone. No, he's always been very wonderful when I run into him. But I could just tell all of you were so great in that film, but your character so intimidates me. He's charming, but he's intimidating at the same time, you know? And you've got this, I don't know. That's one of my favorite performances too. Absolutely incredible performance.
I thought Jack Lemmon, as time goes on, he really steps out in that part. Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I tried doing that part in New York on Broadway, doing Jack's part. Yeah. Because they did a production.
You were Richie Roma.
I was Richie Roma.
Yeah, but in the film, but then you switched and you did his part on Broadway.
On Broadway. And I did his part, and I thought I could do his part somewhat. It's a good part. Let me try that. It's so totally different than Richie Roma. So I started it, but I didn't realize this is Mamet, and you have to have time to, acquire the taste and be able to live through this part. And we had 3 weeks rehearsal, and I didn't have any lines that I was able to say, So, but at the same time, I realized how great Jack Lemmon was in this role. And I thought, wow, I should have watched it before I did it, but I didn't know where I was on Broadway. And that's a tough thing to go through. But I did remember that I said, look, I don't know what to do here, because there's times I don't know what the lines are. This is Mamet now. It's like rewriting Shakespeare.
Yeah.
But I started saying things that came to me. That's my new thing, which, we go through various phases where we go a little nuts, and then we start doing nutty things, and sometimes things come out of that.
I'm familiar.
You get a little cherry,
So, but you start ad-libbing Mamet. Yeah.
So now, I thought, I don't know why I can't get this monologue at all. I can't get it, and I don't know how it's written in a certain way. So I said, I'm gonna start saying my own words here. Say the monologue, and the actors with me was so great. I mean, they were right with it. And I'd even say things on the stage. Then I started dancing on the stage.
You started doing soft shoe.
Soft shoe in the middle of the play. And then because I'm a real believer in, we have things with acting that all of a sudden the unconscious comes out. You free yourself, so your unconscious starts to, express itself. Yeah. And I was walking down the street after I realized that I did what I did. I said, why did I do that? I was thinking, and then I said, wait a minute. My dad had, who I didn't know much, and you know that.
He left early.
But he was a salesman. And he was a great ballroom dancer.
So you think you maybe channeled him a little bit?
I channeled him. Of course I did.
Don't yell at me.
How come you don't know that? You see what I mean? You got to get out there, Conan.
Oh, my God.
Express yourself. But it was interesting. There's another thing. I'm doing a play, a Shakespeare play at the Public Theater, and I'm tired, and, all of a sudden you're doing 8 performances a week. Who invented that? That's the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody.
Yeah.
It ruins all actors. And I'm doing 8 performances, and I'm not doing really well. So I'm doing it, but I'm getting through it. And with me, everything is time. I believe that's why I love the theater so much, because it's time. I mean, I did American Buffalo over 4 years. I did movies in between. But by the 4th year, I didn't have to do anything when I went on stage. It had
was in your bones. It was in your bones.
Entered the bones. But I'm doing Shakespeare, and I'm doing this. I have this huge monologue talking to a lot of people, and I'm tired. But it's maybe a matinee on Saturday or Sunday. I don't know. And I'm talking, and I start thinking, wait a minute, I'm repeating myself. Every line I'm saying, I've said right before. So I'm saying it twice. And I said, oh my God. And I'm saying the lines, and to me, I'm saying them twice, and I'm thinking the audience is being friendly. They're sort of scared because I think this actor is losing it. I think we're going to have to carry him somewhere and take him to a hospital afterward. He's crazy. Yeah. And I got really scared. And then it took me a while to recover. I don't know if I ever did, but at the end of the show, I wasn't doing that, but it felt like it.
Wow. Oh.
This is what exhaustion on the stage means. It's, it really is, especially with the big roles, so I just refused to do that. And then I just said, don't pay me, and I'll do 6 a week.
Right.
Now I do like 3.
Right. I just
don't tell anyone.
It's funny because then you have what I think is any actor would give their left arm for, this string of, it's Serpico, it's Dog Day Afternoon. As I watch those performances and they're so electric, and you had this energy. There's this energy that comes off of you, which still does, by the way, but there's kind of a almost electrical manic energy that comes out of you, out of your eyes, I was watching Dog Day Afternoon the other day, and just you can tell that you're so inhabited by that role and by that moment. And after all these years, it's still spectacular, but you have this string that's just unprecedented. And I'm reading about it in the book, and the whole time you feel very detached from it.
Yes.
Like you're not reveling and going, yep. I mean, I'd be out on the street going, yep, that's me. See that guy up there? That's me.
You frequently are.
I frequently am. And the sad thing is I'm pointing at you. See that, Al Pacino? That's me. See? And then I go to the hospital and I get treatment. But you have this string, and it leads to more drinking, more drugs, more unhappiness, more feeling of being disconnected. Isn't that which I have to say surprised me. I wasn't aware.
Yeah. Well, it hit me. It just did. I felt the kind of isolation from it. I often talked about it as something like one has to earn one's relationships with friends and stuff. You're with people because you like being with them. You share the same thoughts about things. But if I entered a room and all of a sudden what I had to say became important, or, they all were looking and letting me talk. And I sort of never had that experience, and it was uncomfortable.
Right.
And I thought, well, we don't even know each other yet. And so to adjust to that, I've heard it said before, people adjusting to being famous and being accepted wherever you go. And so I remember, I don't know if I told the story about Marty Bregman, of course, was my producer. He produced
You guys did so much together.
Yeah, we did. And so, oh my God, I'm sorry about this.
That's okay. That might be for me.
This seems to.
It's not.
Yes, this is. So, hi, honey. Hi, baby. I can't talk now. I'm with Conan O'Brien.
Yes!
Yeah, hear it?
Yes!
I'll be finished in a minute. Sorry, Conan. No, I'm just joking.
I can't believe you call Coppola honey.
This is my daughter.
That's your daughter.
My youngest daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
She's in a new apartment. She's.
You're not the superintendent, are you?
Yeah.
I fixed the pipe.
I could be. Sure. I got to talk to her
love it.
first.
There's still a couple of people in that building who still think Al is the superintendent. I'll be there.
Oh my!
I'll fix it. It's steam heat. It takes a while. Give it a second. You know what's crazy to me is, and again, I was unaware of this, but you have this. You make Scarface, and it is at the time critics are savage about it. And it has since become, in a lot of ways, I mean, financially, your biggest movie. It's huge, and it has it has this kind of enduring place in the culture, which nobody could have seen at the time. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Yeah.
True. It's it seems like it is always there. There's a guy who wrote the Scarface Papers. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, but it explains some of the stuff about its consistency and why it's still around.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of help from hip hop and from the rappers early on, and the college kids, and then other things started happening. And then we went into that VH. That started the
VHS,
catch, the VHS, and that's what blew it up. And then it went across went over the ocean into Europe and Asia and everywhere. And so it's like this thing.
It's fascinating because it's so.
Oliver Stone wrote this script.
Yeah.
Brian De Palma directed it, and they hit something. Nobody could be more different than the three of us and Bregman. We were just three different planets, and there we were, and somehow it just made it work for some reason. Brian De Palma threw Oliver Stone off the set; he couldn't be there, and I mean, it was that kind of thing, and people were. But it's a beautiful script when you read it, and when you see what Brian has done with it. So,
it's what's amazing is, because I didn't know this. So this was in the book. One of your big contributions was you knew that Tony he's Scarface. He's got to have a scar. And you said you thought of the idea that it should come across the eyebrow. And you said in the book you did that because you thought that showed chaos.
Yes.
And I read that and I thought, yes, it does. Yes. That's fantastic.
You don't know what you're going to get. This is chaos.
It's disconcerting. I don't know how you thought of that, but the fact that an eyebrow is cut in two is on a level very disconcerting.
Yes.
In a subtle way that you didn't get a giant, you didn't do that. No. And it led me back to, it's a theme in your book. I don't know if this is conscious or unconscious. I know you've done a lot of therapy, but it does feel to me like there's some part of you that likes chaos. I mean, theater.
Oh, come on, of course. I mean, without chaos, where are we? Are we floating? That's something.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah.
No, but the kind of chaos, is that's why I always ride the 5 p.m. subway in New York.
Yeah.
I like the rush hour. Just sit around there. Here they go, when the doors open, It sort of gives you a lift, you just feel, I'm alive and it's coming. I don't have anywhere to go, though. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I don't want you on the 5 o'clock subway anymore.
No, I got to get off.
I'm going to come with you. They'll be like, Al Pacino's with that gorgeous redhead. There is a thing that happened where, because Robert De Niro came along at the same time and he's in Godfather 2, and you talk about it in the book, there was always this Pacino, De Niro, Pacino. And you said you guys were always friendly.
Yeah.
You admired each other's work.
Yeah.
You boosted each other. But of course, the media likes to try and make it something. And you say in the book, I think it's just because both of our names ended in a vowel that they
that would help. They should throw in Dustin Hoffman, but his name didn't ring a bell.
Well, they changed it at Ellis Island from Hoffmano. Yeah. But I'm just curious, you finally, first time you work together, you have it is in Heat. And you have that scene, and that's another movie I've seen 1,000 times, and we'll see 1,000 more. But you have that scene in the diner, which is such a great idea, where you just pull over De Niro. He's the bad guy. You're the good guy. You're the cop. He's the robber. Let's talk. And the two of you sit down, and it's such a spectacular scene. And in the book, you reveal that De Niro said, let's not rehearse it. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
No rehearsal.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite scenes.
Wow. No, he was right thinking that way. It was perfect. I mean, to do it that way, these guys. Yeah.
And what a great idea to have the two characters. Let's take a second. Let's sit down and tell each other who we are. and then we will shake hands and go back to trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful idea that I thought was just,
yeah.
And the fact that you just did it, is that the one take, or do you did it many times?
Oh, many times. This is Michael Mann directing it.
Oh, okay.
You get to do it many times.
Yeah. You were there for 6 years.
Yeah.
You see, you had long beards at the end.
They're doing a take later.
I'd like to do this again. When I come in, can I do it?
What's that?
No, well, as Michael Chekhov said, the great acting impresario, the actress comes in the door and says, "Oh, Dr. Maestro, I really want to be an actress, I really want it. I want it so much." He says, "Yes. Go outside, come in again, and do the same thing, and I'll tell you if you could be an actress."
Wow. Can you do it? Yeah.
I wanted to slap him in the face for doing that. That is so pompous and assholey. I don't do that. But
I don't know, I was thinking,
yeah. I mean, somehow,
but I'm kind of an asshole.
No, somehow it works. Asshole just came in my head just now while I was saying it. I said it sounds. When I first heard it, I thought a lot of truth in that. But now I'm an old fella, and I think it's disconcerting.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Well,
I've gone so far in my brain.
Are you able, after writing this book now,
to write another?
No.
I am really ready. It'll be about this show. How could I not?
Yeah. I'm just curious if you are able to now look back at this process. You have to be able to look back now and go, Jesus Christ, what a ride.
Well,
and I'm Al Pacino.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the truth. I was doing it, working on it, working with some good people, and I devoted myself to whatever I did. But as soon as I finished it, I didn't want to look at it anymore. I thought it was done. It was over. I said, it's like when I did Looking for Richard, I would sit in, they had these audiences would come in, I don't know what you call them again.
Test audiences?
Test audiences. Yeah. And they would write it. And I'd be sitting there and I was thinking, I don't want them to come. We're not ready. The film was at the editing room, by the way. I thought somehow from the editing room to the theater where it was going to play, someone would change it and make it better,
Yeah.
And then I wanted to tell them, remember that in the book? I wanted to tell them, I was just, listen, don't take this seriously. I was just trying to put something together. I mean, it's fine. I'm just trying. You don't have to stay. You don't have to go. You
don't say that
to
a
nervous.
You don't say that to a test audience.
You don't.
Yeah, you shouldn't probably see this. This was a mistake. Exactly. You should go now.
I don't think this is for you.
There's a nugget in this book that is it's such a great visual that I just had to bring it up to you, which is the moment where you're making The Godfather and Coppola says, you should talk to Brando. You guys should get to know each other a little bit. And you're shooting the scene in the hospital where you go and you end up saving Vito's life. But he says, you should go talk to him. So they arranged for you guys to have lunch together in one of those hospital rooms. Mm-hmm. And you said, it's such a great picture. You're not saying much. Brando's talking to you. And the whole time he's talking, he's eating chicken cacciatore with a lot of sauce with his hands.
What?
With his hands. And he's talking to you and you... And then at the end, he says, like, hey, kid, I think you're going to be okay. I think you're going to be all right. And then you describe what you're wondering the whole time, he doesn't have a napkin. His hands are covered.
I'm wondering what I should do with that chicken catch. I got mesmerized.
Yeah. But
didn't hear anything he said.
Yeah. But he's probably giving you the greatest acting advice ever.
Of course.
And you're like, whoa.
He is.
That looks like it's got extra Parmesan. Yes. But then you describe what he does. His hands are covered in sauce, and you're like, he doesn't have a napkin.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a napkin, so he puts his hands on the bedsheet of the hospital, white bedsheet, and wipes them on that.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's not
funny.
such a bad thing.
No, but it's
you
funny.
You had to be there. I would do it too today. You know?
But you know what's so
I
funny?
say this, they send me to lunch and you don't give me napkins. That's just that simple.
But you know what's so funny, Al? What's so funny is in the book, you were like, you see him and he finishes and he sees he's on this white bed and he does that and you went, that's a movie star.
Yes, exactly.
That's a movie star. So, well, this will work.
Is that what movie stars do? I'm going to be one, man.
I got to be one of those.
No, he was the greatest person you ever want to know.
Did you get to know him well?
Oh, well, of course. I was with him a lot. And, you know, I remember Marlon giving me just being around him, there's such warmth to him, you know, and he's so sensitive how he sees you, especially other actors. He was so wonderful to me and everybody, and funny, but he was particularly funny with Jimmy Caan because the two of them had done films together. So he was
comfortable with Jimmy Caan.
Yeah, much more. And I was always sort of sulking somewhere. I never knew if I was coming or going. You know, I was always just like there somehow saying, okay, I got away with that. Now what's next? You know? But I remember one of the last things he said to me. I was on 79th Street outside in the summertime, wherever it was, in those along Columbus Avenue. I don't remember the restaurant or whatever, but I was out there by myself and he called me and I said, oh, you know, he wanted something. I said, sure. And then he said, Al, stay out of court. I said, he knew me. I can't go to court. I can't go to court. Now I'm going to go to court, I'm sure. Just cut this out.
Stay out of court? What are you talking about? That was his advice to you, stay out of court.
It was like he meant divorce court.
Oh, I see.
See, that's what he meant.
I see, yes. Well, that's a good idea.
I think
I love it. Yeah. Here's the big tip from Marlon Brando. I could... unfortunately for you, talk to you for 40 hours and never be happy, but I want to let you go. Because,
you're throwing me out?
No, I'm not throwing you out. This reminds me actually of, I said at the beginning, I don't really get starstruck. I've met everybody. Not long ago, I'm in New York on business. Someone says, hey, come with me, go to dinner. I think we go to Polo Bar. And I'm walking out and I see, out of the corner of my eye, an iconic figure, and I look, and you were sitting in a big banquette, and you're by yourself. I think you were with people, but they had just used the bathroom or something, and you're just sitting there, and you point. And I think, he's pointing at someone. And I do the classic thing of I look behind me, and you go, you, and you go, come here. And I go, me?
Yeah.
So I go over, and you go, Conan, how are you? I won't do you to you.
I wanted to tell you how much I love you. I really did.
You know what's so crazy? So I'm talking to you, and I'm just thinking the whole time, because you talk about this a lot in your book, how you always think, I got to get out of here, and no one really wants to see me. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So you're talking to me, and you're telling me, about you're going to show The Godfather, you're going to show it up at somewhere in northern Manhattan. They're going to have a big screening of it. And you're talking to me, and I said, that's such an honor to see you, such an honor to see you. And
You're talking too much, Al.
Yeah. No, you weren't. I was thought, Conan, don't overstay your welcome. He just wanted to say hi, get out. So I say, such an honor, you take care, Al, and I leave. The next day, by pure coincidence, I run into one of the people who had just joined you at the table, and they said, I just got there, and you were walking away, and Al went, what happened? He fled. And I was just thinking, it's Al Pacino. Don't fuck this up. Get away. But the next time I see you, and I'm going to follow you and see you, and I'm going to haunt you, I'm going to sit down. Okay?
Okay.
You don't seem thrilled about it.
No, you're going too far.
You're going to get salazzoed.
I got to use the bathroom. I'll be back with a gun. The book is Sonny Boy. It's the best thing I've read in a long time. Everyone's going to read it. Everyone's going to buy it. And I'm blessed to know you. I really am. Thank you for being here. God bless.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I did your show. I really am. Thank you.
Oh, I'm done now. This is my last podcast. Thank you. Yeah.
No, don't go that far.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.
Wow.
I'm Al Pacino, and I am hopeful about being Conan O'Brien's friend.
That's nice. That's really nice.
You want a friend who stutters?
Yeah, I think I'm out, by the way.
Who can't read?
That didn't come from the heart at all. I thought you've given some great performances.
It came from the heart. It's, please get this right. You need a little heart to do
All right,
this.
I got to tell you something. I've never said this before on the podcast. I've talked to everybody. I've talked to presidents. You, sir.
Yes.
You, sir, put your phone away for this. Put your phone away for this, because this is a huge honor for you, what I'm about to say.
It is no.
Yeah. This is no higher honor than what I'm about to say to you. You are my favorite actor, and this is the most excited I've been to talk to anybody. This is a big fucking deal for me. Al Pacino, I'm blessed that you are here.
Oh, well, wow. Thank you for that. I'm taking my sunglasses off now.
You did.
That one got them off. Thank you so much.
And I want to say this. So you've written this book, Sonny Boy. It is your story, your autobiography. And they got me an advance copy. And I holed myself up in my room and I read this thing. And it is a spectacular book. This is the best biography I can remember reading. It is such an amazing story. I thought I knew everything about you. It's an incredible book. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. That's a wonderful compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's all the time we have.
Yes.
It's been nice having you here.
I'm not having that kind of luck today.
Let me tell you something. I'm hard-pressed to think of anyone who's had more iconic performances than you. You are in just such elite company of actors, 20th century, 21st century actors. And I read this story, and there's so much despair in it. There are highs, but there are lows. To people like me that think about Al Pacino, I just think, oh, it's just Ben. What a miraculous, never-ending series of successes. But your childhood in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
I'm reading about it, and it could have been the 1890s. I mean, I know it's the 1940s, early 50s, but you're running around like one of the dead end kids with a gang. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely incredible. And you're constantly almost getting killed. I mean, what?
Well, it still goes on. You know? On the way up here, you know.
Yeah, it's a tough part of Central Hollywood right here. You know, Beverly Hills, there are some sections, but
we're going to dodge those lattes.
But no, I mean, you're talking about this period of your life, and it feels like it could be 100 years ago. It's such a crazy experience. And what you went through, your father leaves when you're 2 years old.
A little less than, no. Yeah, a little. Yeah, 2. Okay,
let's just go with 2.
Go with 2, please.
Yeah, okay, let's just go with 2.
Even number, you know.
You were 1.9. Your father left, and your mom has mental health issues, and then she passes away when you're still a very young man, and you live kind of a chaotic young life. That was a real surprise to me. I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah.
Had you ever heard of any part of my life at all? Or?
I knew that you had been in theater and that your success, it always felt to me that the Al Pacino story was young guy doing theater, gets The Godfather, hits it out of the park, and then the rest is spectacular. I read this story and it's almost miraculous that you get out of childhood. Do you know what I mean? That's the feeling I had.
Yeah, that's good. I didn't mean that for you to have that feeling, but it's great you had a feeling, you know.
I haven't had a feeling in a very long time.
I know. I've tried reading the first 2 chapters of my book. I'm doing the audio of it now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really a knockout. It really knocks you out. I mean, you start seeing your life, and you know, in order to read a book, you have to act the parts because you just read a monotone. Some of the monotone readers are wonderful.
Yeah,
I mean, I really get the great Sean Penn reads Bob Dylan. I read that. Did anybody hear that book?
I haven't heard that one. No, I've heard Sean Penn sings Bob Dylan. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it. He ends up punching the microphone.
Oh my God! Oh well, he got Bob Dylan. He really got his tone, and so I'm reading these stories, and of course I lived through them, so I'm sort of reliving them.
Yeah,
and it's tough.
I would think it's tough because you run around with this gang of kids, South Bronx. I know that and you point out that your mom did keep an eye on you. Yeah. You did feel that you were more supervised than some. A lot of your friends don't make it.
Yeah.
They die.
Yeah.
They die. They get into heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very poignant because you start the book with them. And then at the end of the book, after this incredible career, you go back and kind of dedicate it to these guys that didn't get out of the South Bronx, which is very powerful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you felt like, almost like, I might be reaching here, but was there a little bit of survivor's guilt there? Like, how did I get out and they didn't get out?
Well, I always thought about that. Yeah. The thing that was so interesting to me that I recalled was one of my friends dying and being buried and around it with these you remember the one I say about this sort of cold January morning or something?
Yeah.
All
bleak,
around bleak. And Bruce is lowered and the mother's crying, who I knew, of course, and this aunt or somebody I never saw starts to relate her feelings about Bruce and what she thought happened to him.
Yeah.
And it was so profound. And this is someone I knew. I did comedy routines with it. We used to do that stuff. And she's so out of nowhere, like just read him so wonderfully, and I learned about him, and it was that was shocking to me.
You talk about it in the book, and it's interesting because obviously so many people are going to pick up this book and say, I want to hear about, and these are things, I want to hear about the Godfather movies, I want to hear about, all these iconic roles, all the people you knew, all the people you met, but to me, in a way, the most fascinating aspect of it is that you start with these people. You get out. And when I say you get out, none of us understands why. I mean, I've had some crazy good fortune in my life and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
And I stopped trying to figure it out a while ago. Yeah. I was driving here today. I have a ritual with my brothers where we watch the Godfather movies religiously. We can quote them from beginning to end. We always quote them to each other. And I'm talking to my brother Luke. And I said, guess where I'm going? I'm going to work today and I'm going to interview Al Pacino. And my brother said, I'm very proud of you, but who the fuck are you to talk to Al Pacino? Why you? And I said, Luke, I don't know, but I'm going to go with it.
I think he should be here. Let's bring him in.
He's a criminal.
Well, he's welcome.
He's in prison right now. Luke, we're thinking of you.
Well, Al Pacino was just here.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
He's my favorite actor.
Oh, he's an actor.
Oh my God.
You're like, who is this man? No, he is my favorite actor of all
Mm-hmm.
time. And I was just so electrified that he came in and he was so fantastic. It was so much fun. And I remembered just before the interview, we had this big talk because I think people were a little on edge today.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big day.
It's a big day.
You don't know what you're getting.
Aaron Blair wore a blazer.
Whoa.
And look at him.
Thank you.
Which is, and to be fair, I read his book and loved it. I was rewatching movies. I was thinking a lot about Mr. Pacino, Al. I was really preparing for this. And Yeah, it's called preparing sona.
I was going to say, I am preparing.
You familiar?
Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't just walk in here and just wing it? Okay.
It depends.
I'm Conan. I like to be prepared.
It depends, who it is. When it's the cast of Selling the OC, maybe I wing it. But
Can't wait for that.
I'm shocked you know that.
Oh my God, you have no idea what I know. But when it's Al Pacino, I don't need to prepare because I feel like I know his career cold, but I really wanted to read the book and think about it. And everybody was in a slightly different mode today. I could tell.
There's also 40 more people than is ever here,
yes.
too.
Yeah. It was really something. Suddenly people are here who've never here before. Like, I'm here to fix the cigarette machine.
Yeah.
We don't have a cigarette machine.
And that was De Niro.
Yeah, it was De Niro. And so but then we get in here and we start talking about like, well, let's not make him wear a headset like we always do with people. But then we get into this classic conversation that we've had many times with Eduardo, because these are directional mics. Eduardo, I give it up for you. You're a brilliant guy. You built this place.
Thank you.
You did a wonderful job. Sometimes you're a little, and for a reason, these are directional mics.
Correct.
But you want everyone's lips to be on mic.
Yes.
No, he just wants people to be on
mic.
mic.
Yeah, he
That's
just
right.
wants
It's a
people
podcast.
to talk
Yeah,
into
I understand,
the
I understand,
microphone.
but
Thank you, guys.
when the police are trying to bug an apartment, they put a little bug, up in the lamp, and then they hear them saying, yeah, we'll kill him, yeah, and then they arrest them.
That's why
it's very
never
hard.
admissible in court because it's like.
Well, they put plenty of mobsters away using the same technology. Anyway, we have these microphones that you really need to be close to them, and the fear is that maybe any of these actors that we have on or anybody might just be talking and they may lean back, they may drift from the mic.
Billie Eilish.
And
It's
Billie
happened.
Eilish.
It's
Yeah.
happened plenty of times.
So you were saying that if they wear the headsets, they know when they're wandering away from the mic. But I didn't want that. So I was trying to think of a way that we can not wear headsets, because I don't want to talk to Al Pacino while he's wearing what like a submarine sonar guy would have in a World War II movie. Yeah. I want to talk to Al Pacino. And so I was hoping, let's not do that. Let's just not do that. And then I came up with an idea for a fix.
Which we thought was a real idea when you
And
were
I
first
told
setting
these
it
guys,
up.
Set this up.
I set it up so well. I
soberly.
said, guys, I have a way to fix this. It's a technological fix. And you guys were actually looking at me like, well, he probably does have something.
I knew you were.
You probably knew.
I knew you were not serious.
Okay, but I think Eduardo,
I
Yeah.
was intrigued.
Blay,
Yeah.
1,000%.
you thought, and what about you?
I just wasn't listening.
Okay. Anyway, I said, no, I'm really serious, guys. This is what we should do. We should get a little, just like a little clip, and it's tied to a nylon cord, and we clip it to them, and it's really secure. And you guys were still looking at me like, where's he going with this? And then the clip attaches to like a little wheel right here, and then it runs underneath the table, and Eduardo has it, and if someone starts to drift off mic, he can pull on it, and they're like, anyway, I just think and suddenly
We should do that with him.
So Al Pacino would be like, and then I was saying, I was talking to when we shot The Godfather Part 2, I go, and then Eduardo would slowly let it out. Anyway, I said to Coppola, I hope it works because I'm a little worried. Now, the funny thing you got to remember about Diane Keaton is, and then Eduardo lets it out just a little bit, and then another tug to remind him who's boss.
I love the idea.
So I think we do this idea.
Can you do that, but it actually pulls him away from the mic?
It's even better.
You know what? I'll have so great. You'll all have wires.
Yes.
So I'll start. So I have no wires, but I'll be like, yeah. And another thing, Sona. Or, well, Gourley, I think.
I love it.
I'm just kidding. You guys are just yanking me around.
Oh my God.
And all the people hear is wing, Hawaii, zing.
Can we just talk about how personable he was too, and how he would talk, and listeners don't know this, but there are two types of guests on this show. Those that just kind of come in and they're tunnel vision, they look at you. And then those that are like really talk to everyone in the room. And he was one of those people that would just make eye contact with people.
I don't know if you could tell, but I started to build a brick wall so that he couldn't see you guys.
Yeah.
I have, because I keep bricks here.
Yes, I know that.
And I have a lathe, and I was just quickly he was, I think it honestly comes from the fact that when you read his book, yes, he's an iconic film star, but in his heart, he's a guy who wants to go to the theater and work with everybody and figure it out. And you can tell that's what he loves, is he loves this kind of communal. And I think that's his instinct is he's not here just to talk to me. He's here to have an experience with us.
Well, you know how you can tell he's a man of the people? When his phone rang in that interview, I looked over and his phone case is all Shrek heads. It's just printed multiple sized Shrek heads all over.
He's a dad with some kids. I
love it.
And he's got Shrek heads. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, and then his phone went off.
Yeah.
Midway through the interview. That's happened before, maybe?
I don't know but when it rang, my heart dropped because I was like, please don't let it be my phone.
It's usually Sona when it's happened.
What the fuck?
No. To be fair, it was Al Pacino's phone, but it was Sona calling.
Asking, who are you?
Can you just tell me who you are real quick? So what did you act in?
Which reality show were you in?
Keep at it, buddy. I'm sure you'll make it.
I definitely had a minor panic attack when a phone went off because that's always something I'm constantly worried about or whatever. And then as soon as it was his phone, relief.
Yes, relief. I'm the same. I love when it goes off and it's your phone.
Yeah, that's hardly ever happened.
That's you, and then you get mad.
My
and then
phone
you
is always on, but
phone.
no one ever calls me.
You also had these glasses on the table, just like Mo Green in The Godfather, and I kept expecting you to put them back on. And
it's so. Those movies are so seared into my brain, and not just those. So many of his movies, and I'm
serious. I know who he is. You guys are making big.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know.
Matt looked at me like, Sona, do you know what The Godfather is?
No, it was your. It wasn't me being condescending.
I can't hear me. I don't have headphones on.
There you go. But I will say he's multi-generational. Like, it doesn't. Because Eduardo, you were saying for you it's Scarface.
Scarface for me.
Yeah, I remembered when I was in college. Yeah, The Godfather 1 and 2 was a big thing, but Scarface was huge.
Some of my best friendships were formed over that movie. So,
really?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I thought you said some of your best friends were dealing cocaine in Miami and shooting each other with machine guns.
He did not say that.
Yeah. And then it just keeps going because I was talking to a friend of mine who's like a workout fanatic, and he'd be in his 30s, and he was just saying, like, I said that I was going to be talking to Al Pacino, and he said that speech he gives in Any Given Sunday. And I thought, oh my God, it just goes and goes and goes. It's incredible.
And then into the current day with The Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep. And he's the voice of the new Shrek.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. Donkey, what are you fucking doing? Hey, Donkey, why don't you go out in the rowboat and say a Hail Mary? I killed the fucking donkey! I've lost my soul! That's a Shrek turn I haven't seen.
Oh, my God.
All right, well, that was really, wow, that was fun. It is pretty surreal. That was nice to experience that.
I hesitate to do this, but I have to thank you for bringing these kind of crazy experiences into my life. It's amazing to be able to sit by and watch this happen.
Well, I think he was here to see all of us.
That's absolutely not true.
I know. We were waiting for I was waiting for you to finish.
I was going to slam you at the end, but he didn't give me a chance. That's bullshit.
I think I wanted to cut it off before.
It almost makes me.
He outside was saying, like, I don't want anyone else in the room. And I said, it's kind of how we do it. And he went, well, I don't like Gourley. I've heard his other podcasts. He does something about Bonanza. And I was like, no. It's too niche. It's too niche what he does. Who wants to listen to him and Andy Daly? Just paddle on. And I said, Al, just come on in. And Sona, what's that all about? I mean, did she land her ass in butter or what? She's a bad assistant and now she gets a job for life? And I said, Al, just come on in. Then why is Blade wearing a blazer?
That's not who Blay is.
Everyone turns into Nixon, too. That's amazing.
And I'll tell you something else. Let's get Haldeman and Ehrlichman, and let's start a mob, and we'll take over the 5 families. Everything is Nixon.